meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Okay, it is June 16th, 2022, and we are recording a training session for advocates who are willing to be presenters to Rotary clubs or staff and other interested persons who just want to know what's going on. Because this presentation is deliberately, strategically targeted or tailored for doing presentations to Rotary clubs about supporting Rotary partnerships in Uganda. Okay, so for example, we have Jim here who's doing kind of the general water with blessings. He's kind of head of the country team and those efforts in Uganda. This will be a separate project. Okay, so we just want to make sure everyone understands that we're talking about different projects. And I'm going to change this view here just so I can make sure we have all the have the right setup here. Let's see. And I'm also going to mute everybody, okay, just to get started. And then you can always unmute yourselves, okay? Simplest thing to unmute, by the way, in this situation is just hit your space bar on your computer, on your keyboard, and hold it down. So this is not to say you can't make comments or anything like that. It's just to keep everything going smoothly for the recording, okay? All right, so before we get started, any other questions in general? Well, this will probably get us started about this particular project, okay? That this is a standalone project for recruiting Rotary clubs to partner with Rotary clubs, okay? So the first thing, just to ensure, get myself there, I'm just gonna leave it on gallery. The first thing to clarify is kind of the nature of Rotary partnerships in general. So you're going into a Rotary club, either you've come up with a Rotary club or you've been asked by one of us, probably Rebecca, she's the one who is coordinating all this. If you could take a particular date, and I do encourage you to buddy up if that seems possible to do this. And you're going into a Rotary club and you may not know anything about Rotary, okay? So the first thing I would encourage you to do is really to look at the Rotary website and kind of get the general big picture. I'm not going to go into that very much. I'm just going to say in general that Rotary International, of which I am a proud, I'm called an honorary member. Rotary International is a big, obviously international movement that started back around, in the early 20th century, and it's divided up in clubs, and you have both your like Rotary Central, you have your president, your international president, you have a sort of a central office organization, and you have clubs. And clubs have a lot of autonomy, okay? But when you start talking about Rotary funding, there's two levels of funding that start blurring together. So we want to start with making sure you're clear about what funding we're targeting. One level of funding is the International Foundation. And this is large amount funding. It is quite a high bar to qualify. Most funding for Rotary, almost all funding for Rotary, as I can figure out for water, at this level is all infrastructure projects. That's pretty well spoken for, okay? We're not going after that funding at present, if ever. We'll see if, I'm hoping that when we demonstrate with successful projects at the club level, that the word will begin to spread and eventually we might be able to get to the international level. International foundation grants have to be taken through the district level. So your clubs are all, are all organized in districts and they all have governors. Our district here in Kentucky is like everything from Louisville down to Bowling Green and west. So it's a big district. And then within that, all the clubs have presidents and they have other officers, and there's a whole structure that's very, very standard for all Rotary clubs, okay? But the funding that we would be trying to tap into is that any Rotary club can give money to any cause they choose. Okay, so they can, in a sense, make their own mini grants. Now, there's a bit of a caveat, and that is at the international level, there must be a partner, a Rotary partner in the field. Okay, there must be another club. These clubs are all over the world. So if I'm a Rotary club and I've gotten a grant going for a project in Haiti, I've got to have a Haitian Rotary club working with me. Okay, that's partnering. Now, this is, I believe, internationally a little bit fluid when you're working at the lower club level, but it's highly recommended that you're working with other Rotary clubs. So in this case, we have a connection made, kind of emerged unexpectedly through a couple of connections who happen to be Rotarians who were already interacting with Rotary clubs in Uganda. Okay, so what we're going after here is we can offer a really wonderful project with high impact, and we already have the partner clubs in Uganda. We have 4 partner clubs. Now this we're getting into what you're going to see in the slides here in a few minutes, okay? But we have 4 partner clubs, so we're able to approach these small clubs or these, individual clubs and offer them an international project, so a global kind of project with this partnership already ready to go. So this funding is dedicated to projects that will be implemented by Rotary clubs in Uganda. So any questions about Rotary structure and the funding? Yes, Pat.
Will they be confused by the fact that we're not asking them to apply for international funding, even though we're doing that component of what they would have to do?
They might be, just because there's a lot of confusion that enters into these conversations. First of all, they may assume that because it's an international project, that we want them to go after a big grant.
That's where I'm getting, that's where I'm going.
So the answer is no, we don't need that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And one way that, and you'll see in the slides that we're kind of making a point, is the infrastructure projects are multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
We don't need that kind of money for what we're proposing with them. So, I mean, we could use that kind of money if they wanted to offer it, but we can help them carry out an international grant, an international project that will totally change the health outcomes for small remote villages in Uganda for very little money compared to that. Okay, so infrastructure projects, just have kind of under your belt, if you get that questioning, we're not looking at infrastructure projects. Those are the kinds of projects that belong to, they go to big international projects, big foundation projects, big district projects. We're just suggesting that a regular club can do a small international project that will still have big impact. Okay. Now, this is all very fluid. So there are a lot of projects, because Rotarians are very motivated around this kind of stuff. So, for example, there's a big project in Haiti. It's not a water project. That's actually a collaborative project between 4 clubs here in Louisville area. I think it's 4. Okay. So they're doing kind of a medical clinic. It's collaborative. They spend, and they have gotten some grants, some of the big grants as well. It's expensive. Okay. But it's also being funded at the local level, at the individual club level, and they're going together. So one thing I didn't really spell out in the slides because I didn't really want people to think first, well, we'll just give a little bit, is that they can say, well, we don't think we can come up with that much. And we say, oh, could you partner? You can partner with other clubs. It could be a club that you want to take it to, or it could be we're just declaring this club in Uganda has these 3 partners, and maybe they're in completely different states and districts. That's okay. All right. So, any other questions about Rotary in general? All right, let's go to slides. All right. And I started putting in some notes in the slides. I'll go back in and do that some more. And you can print out the slides, write your own notes on them or whatever too, okay? So let me see. Just need to share here. And we're going to start this slideshow. Okay. So here's the title slide. And I may lose sight of raised hands, so holler at me if you need to. Okay, here's the title slide, and it's deliberately named Another Way to Wash. And this wash logo here, I'm going to come to what that means, but that's actually an official logo for a Rotarian whole area. One thing I forgot to say about Rotary is that besides local clubs, like geographic clubs, there are e-clubs now, which are meet online. So I'm being sponsored for an e-wash club. It's an e-club, but it's focused on water, and it's actually based in New Zealand, but it has 47 members from all over the world. Okay, and we just completely meet online. But there's also a whole area they call Rotary Action Groups, and they use this wash thing as well. Okay, so what we want to just put right up there is that it's Rotarian led. I'm a Rotarian. It's Rotarian supported. We have Rotarians involved. And we have international Rotary partners, these 3 things across the bottom here. So we want to say right off, we don't want to create this in a combative or whatever relationship. We just want to say there are many good ways to wash. There's a lot of Rotary experts, a lot of Rotary wash experts, and they have had a lot of different projects to approach ways to wash, ways to get to wash. WASH stands for water, the WA of water, sanitation, and hygiene. And it's a common acronym that's used, everybody from the UN down uses that acronym, WASH, water, sanitation, and hygiene. So before we use this acronym, which is, not been around that many years, maybe 10 or 12, I guess, it was just talking about water, and then there was more and more understanding that when you take water, you separate water from sanitation and hygiene, you will still have water issues. Now, well, a point of use approach can kind of get around that, but we don't want to get into that, okay? So we're saying there's many good ways to wash. We have water infrastructure projects. We have shared community solutions. There are a variety of household point of use approaches, okay? So we're Water with Blessings, and we offer another way to wash, like a fresh way to wash. I thought about doing fresh. And our way is that we equip, empower, and entrust mothers as water women. We equip, empower, and entrust. Just by a sidebar here, everybody says they equip and empower women. Okay? We equip, empower, and entrust mothers. So we have two unique words there. Okay? Equip and empower, everybody says that. We entrust because we're setting them up for a role as change agents in their community. And we focus on mothers. So as soon as you get the words equip and empower out of your mouth, they're thinking you're about to say women, and you're adding and entrust mothers. Our way to wash, we're tailored for remote communities. Okay, so this is a point we want to try to get across to people already involved in WASH in Rotary, because they are very focused on infrastructure projects. And we don't want to argue that. It's really pointless to argue it. But they understand, if they stop and think about it, that for every one community that you can get to with an infrastructure project, there are thousands that you cannot get to. You cannot get a drilling rig to them. Okay, you cannot get loads of cement to them. But also you cannot get to them because of money. So they understand, without us having to kind of make the point, that there are a lot of communities, that are decades away from water infrastructure, if ever. And an engineer said, yes, use that word tailored for remote communities. That's kind of engineer talk. This is a solution that's tailored for remote communities. You might have engineers there especially if there's, in your audience, especially if somebody says, oh yeah, we do WASH projects, great. You might say, what kind of WASH projects have you done? I think you might start before you start the slide project with that, because then you say, okay, we have another way to do that. We offer another. And then we make this point, we empower water women, we empower women as water heroes. Okay, we're taking them beyond who are lucky recipients, the lucky few who got something, we're empowering them. So at that point, this just says, are you intrigued? Because this is set up also for people to read through it by themselves. Then keep going to learn more. Rotary clubs can partner with us to bring WASH, to do WASH. So about Water with Blessings, we have a WASH mission, and it's clean water for thirsty children. We normally say, this is a little touchy for me, for God's thirsty children. Rotarians are very coached to be immediately resistant to anything, although they can be very religious, but no funding for anything that seems to promote religious proselytization. And you'll see I've got another slide that addresses that. Okay, but I don't want to throw a flag up immediately. Okay, I acknowledge that we have a spiritual foundation but I'm careful about how I say it. So up front, I just say clean water for thirsty children. Because our vision is we believe every child everywhere should be drinking clean water. I'm going to start adding every day to that as well. Every child everywhere, every day should be drinking clean water. It's hard for people to argue that. So instead of risking a solution to local power dynamics, in some of this you can just read through and just see if somebody stops and says, what do you mean by that? But we're empowering women to make that change. If somebody says, wouldn't it be better to create, to set up some device that creates a lot of water for many people? The problem with that is local power dynamics will take over that device. It will become a power tool. And so what we're doing is kind of making sure the power over the solution is going to the people most in need, at the very bottom of the power pyramid for that issue for water. So it's first and foremost, we do a human solution, this concept of a human solution. That solution doesn't start with technology, it starts with people. Just a little bit about our history. Since 2008, over 147,000 mothers in 48 countries. So there's just a little smattering of all those for you. And I need to fix that. I didn't realize that was doing that. I'll take that out. So every mother who joins the Water Woman movement filters drinking water for 3 other neighbor households. That's our multiplier. Sawyer Point 1 filters have proven to be ideal equipment for our human solution. Human solutions do need equipment. They need technology, okay? And so we have water women who have kept the same filter since 2008. It's a long time. I don't go a lot into Sawyer Point 1. I thought about adding a slide with a link to that, simply because a lot of people in Rotary are already familiar with the filter. And part of the challenge can be that people have attempted to do point of use projects. They've given out this filter or other filters, and they've done it without a good program. And then they go back into the field the next year and they find that the filters are all gone, or they're dry on the shelf, or they're barely working, or they're contaminated. And so you might meet up with someone who says, oh yeah, we tried those filters and it didn't work. There were problems. When people roll out statements like that, you're kind of like, was it with the technology? Was it whatever? The best response is to say, we've had great success with these because we never give them out without our very strong Water Woman program. You have to have a strong program, a human program. So in the hands of water women, each filter serves a total of 4 households. That's conservatively a minimum of 12 to 20 people. So our way to wash, I kind of go back to that concept every so often, our way to wash gives us a multiplier. When we're talking in the world of aid interventions, it's called, in the world of making a difference, changing a issue that people are struggling with. You're talking about impact, and you're talking about scale. Those are gold words. Impact, scale, sustainability, that's another gold word. Okay, so the idea that one mother can use a filter for 12, 14 years is a great sustainability point. This is a sustainable program if it's done right. Getting to scale with point of use, meaning, you know, you've got millions of households out there who don't have clean water. You don't want to piddle around with a few here, a few there. You want to work at scale. You want to aim for as much impact as possible. And so having a multiplier for each piece of technology. Okay. So the secret to the sustainability is trained water women receive, know how to give those filters regular maintenance. So that means it's a sustainable point of use system. Now, let me just pause here and say, you're going to be kind of moving through this much faster than I am. And you're going to have, do I have them here? I do. You're going to have these little business cards, okay? If I thought about it differently, I would not have put my name on the front, but I was going to that convention, so I put my name on the front, okay? So you've got my business card, essentially. And on the back, you've got another way to wash, and you've got a QR code. Okay, so you can even say up front, I know your time is valuable, you're not used to a long presentation. I'm gonna move through this, take questions, and then I'm gonna give you this card, or you might already have them at the tables. You can open this same presentation on that QR code. After a couple of years of COVID, almost everybody knows how to open a QR code if they've gone out to eat. All right. But essentially, you just point your phone. You used to have a special app. Now you don't even have to do that. You just open the camera on your phone and point it at this QR code, and something will pop up that says you want to open this presentation. So we have lots of these, lots and lots of these. They're nice and cheap. I'm all about the cards now. So we'll ship you a nice handful of these to give out. So we always like to make the point that we have an award-winning program. That was the PAHO Foundation. And we designed this in collaboration with our first beneficiary community. There's a lot in there that could be unpacked, but we just want to put it in front of them because, again, we're going to, give them access to this presentation themselves. And they can always call me, or they can call you back. You can give them your own card as well. And in fact, we have some advocate cards, Debbie, that have just lines that you can put your own. You can handwrite your name and phone number on them. So dig those out. So that wisdom that we got from people, we just want people to kind of get a sense of, we didn't create this program and come in and impose it on other people. The first people who received this program helped design it. And so it comes from their wisdom, and it works all over the world. Now, back to the spiritual thing. So we're basically acknowledging, sure, we do have a spiritual aspect of this, but it has to do with spiritual values that are shared by every faith. And we just name a few of those: compassion, community, water is life, the to water. Okay, every faith will make a point, will make we'll embrace that. So again, it's kind of another way to think about things. And I have run into this countless times over decades of doing this, and especially, since starting Water with Blessings, is that there's an assumption that if you say anything spiritual, you are promoting your religion. Or that you are about to promote your religion. You have an agenda. Maybe it's hidden, maybe it's not. Okay, so the thing that we find we don't do that, obviously, as hidden agenda. We do this because it's part of what makes the program work. It's part of what makes the concept of being a water woman stick. The water woman doesn't promise me. They don't promise water with blessings. They don't promise the trainer. They don't promise their local mayor. They don't promise their pastor. They promise God, or however they name God, Allah, whatever. They promise that they will filter for other families. And that is really a huge piece of the secret sauce of water women. It's not just religion makes things prettier. It has a practical thing. So just be thinking about that. You might make a presentation that doesn't rattle anybody's cage. Slide goes by. Somebody else might throw up their hands and say, whoa, wait a minute. What church do you go to? We can't do anything religious. And you say, this isn't religious. This isn't promoting a religion. This is tapping into the spiritual values that every faith has in common. Okay. So to carry on with that, there are Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, and Voodoo water women in alphabetical order. Okay. And each one has made a sacred promise in her own faith. So another issue around, especially that people might bring up if they're familiar with WASH projects, is the issue of uptake, which means, a community embraces this solution and they're really willing to run with it. Uptake has just never been a problem for us because we tap into mothers and mothers want to make a difference. They're motivated for the survival of their children as a class. And again, this is one of those slides that could get into long explanations. In our way to WASH, every water woman is registered in our GIS data program. I've got here GIS is for Geographic Information Systems. It's technology that lets us know where each water woman was when she was trained. There is no chip. It's not creepy. We don't follow water women around. But by getting their GPS location when they were trained, we can verify, all the activity of a certain day and who and where. We can go back and do follow-up. We can, even over much time, and we can share that data with the funders. Okay, so this is kind of key in that what we're proposing to these groups is that we want to, we're going to get back to them with data. So if they help fund or if they completely fund a village with a Ugandan Rotary Club, we're going to come back to them with a GIS report. I might have said something about that. So I tell here, with GIS, we track distribution and training, conduct follow-up evaluation, and report to funders. So here's a sample, okay? It doesn't, because I was protecting somebody's identity, but they scroll through this. So it's popped up on a map. Here's a map. Every green dot is actually dozens and dozens of water women because they stack up on top of each other because they all sat in the same chair. And then we get latitude, longitude, accuracy within how many meters. So this is a little over 4 meters of accuracy. a date time stamp, etc., barcode identity, etc. And it's all, here's a picture, it's all here in a phone app. And it works, it does work in remote areas off the Wi-Fi grid, because you collect the data and then you get back to Wi-Fi and you upload it. So the part of the beauty of this is the information we can collect and follow up. So here's a follow-up little quick analysis. Follow-up data for our way to wash is very impressive. So this represents around 500 people, 500 households that were interviewed, about a 10% sample out of a big project in Honduras. And 82% of those basically reported that they had no health issues in the last 2 weeks. 15.9%, which includes this red section actually, reported that there was diarrhea. Okay, I'm sorry, that there was some health issue. I'm so sorry. So about 60% had some health issue. And here's all the health issues. I'm going to show you more in the next slide. And only 2.12% reported diarrhea. That is really amazing health outcomes for a community in a developing country, a remote community in a developing country. So that was 12 months after the disaster distribution, 10% sample of a 5,000 total distribution. Question, which of the following symptoms has your household experienced in the last 14 days? All reported symptoms from 500 data sets, with 18 reported diarrhea, 107 cough, and 98 headache, and fatigue 53. What do you think they got going there? They've got COVID. You know, there's kind of consistent COVID now across these communities. But you know, you have other, and these are not necessarily waterborne symptoms at all. We're just asking all symptoms, because some of them could be related, you know, to a waterborne issue. But yeah, the gold standard for water projects, for wash projects, is you want to get this diarrhea number way, way down. So small children are like the canary in the mine. They, when you look at diarrhea among small children, that rate, that gives you a pretty good indicator of the health of everybody else across the community of every age. Unless you've got some weird outbreak of something like cholera, you know, which is an equal opportunity killer. And even then, you're going to see more, you're going to see a lot of small children affected, and that's going to tell you a lot of everybody's affected. Pat, did you have a hand up?
Yes. Did I miss it, or did you have a slide that showed this before the intervention?
No, we don't have that.
You don't have that. Okay. So, because that's what they might ask, well, was it just, you know, 18 now, but before it was just 22, you know,
Yeah,
or was it?
no.
So we don't have it. Okay, I just wanted to check. Thanks.
So we're kind of adding that piece in, doing like, this would be a really long range study. I'm talking with Sawyer about that actually, but it's generally understood that when you don't have clean water, you have a really high degree of diarrhea.
All right.
Okay. So even among 500 families with children in the US, 18 of them having a child with diarrhea at any given point probably is not too far off the norm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whoops. So our most telling metric is this metric right here, radical reduction of diarrhea. So in Haiti, I do throw in a little bit about Haiti here, because I do that strategically, because there's a big, heavily funded project for infrastructure across Haiti. Hundreds and thousands of dollars have been dedicated to this. There's been no progress because it's impossible to do infrastructure during COVID and during political unrest. This project just really got off the ground in 2019. And I'm not tackling this head on in this thing. I'm just showing them, hey, by the way, if you happen to know about the hand wash project in Haiti, yeah, so that if somebody says, are you part of the hand wash project in Haiti? The answer is at present, hand wash is dedicated to infrastructure, large scale projects. So there's a lot more we could say, but I'm not going to get into it. But they're stymied and they're very frustrated, but they're still totally devoted to, you got to go in there and build water projects, water infrastructure, water treatment plants for small projects, for small communities. And they also kind of occasionally come up with this thing of, well, people are tired of carrying water. They want water piped in their homes. I cannot agree more. That's what they want. But if we meet that want, we have a lot of children dying who aren't touched by the impact. And one thing I've been saying in conversations where I am kind of, it is an upfront, we're debating this in hand wash, is where these communities are decades and decades away from this kind of solution. And in all this time is full of bodies. It's just full of bodies. I'm sorry. But anyway, there's no greater challenge, everybody's agreed on that, than in Haiti for a number of reasons. And we're very familiar with Haiti. And we have 75,690 water women. That was as of late May, okay? All in these different areas of Haiti. And we do this very strategically. So while it might look like, oh, it's overloaded in some areas and not in others, it's just that each of these areas, 1 out of every 4 households has a water woman. So that means with her serving 3 other households, everybody's within reasonable access of clean drinking water. So that's been primarily focused on eradicating cholera. And all these hero water women, we're very confident with them. We give them these signs that mean that such that piece up there says, oh, hero water woman lives here. They put those on their doors. And we did that. That's an extra expense of about $1, $1.25 per water woman, which adds up. But it means that the public commitment is so important there because of cholera. Cholera is a beast of a disease. It's a medieval level kind of disease. It kills people overnight. And so that's where we really took it up and, big step with these women and say, you've got to be heroic about this. You're fighting a war. And so we're going to announce your hero water women. It's a big thing in Haiti to be called a hero because of heroes of the revolution. So just since the start of the pandemic, which by the way is right after the last big hand wash meeting. So I'm not saying since you turned us down at your meeting, the slides, I'm just saying since the start of the pandemic, we've been able to, and this number's higher now. I can update this every so often. Right now, as of 5/21/2022. That was 3/15/2020. I got to fix that. There were 22,000 plus more water women almost every other nonprofit has had to cease operations in Haiti. So I'm just making the point, you have a goal of getting all of Haiti drinking clean water. They used to say by, might have been 2025, they've taken that year down, but they still say the goal of hand wash is everybody in Haiti having access to clean water. And they're not able to make progress, partly because of their model, partly because of COVID, partly because of political unrest. So if anybody's familiar with that. But here's the crux of it all, okay? So this is, can we see what slide this is? I'm going to add numbers to the slides. Debbie, can you help me remember this? Okay, I need to number the slides.
What number?
It'll just start 1 at the beginning. I'll put a number at the bottom of each slide. Because if you are speaking to a Rotary Club that says you've got 10 minutes, this is where you start. Okay. Maybe you do the first slide or 2, and then you're going to jump to this slide. So we're going to have a slide number for you. Okay. If they're settled in for, we really want to learn about this, and even if not, these slides also help you understand the picture. So if somebody asks out of the blue about spirituality, you can say, oh, well, let me go back to slide whatever, or you just know what it is, okay? So the crux of this right now is we're offering new Rotary partnerships in Uganda. And clubs can join our way to wash. And here they are. So we have 4 Rotary clubs lined out here on this map. There's one way down here in the southwest, Bali, I think, yeah, numbered. And then these blue dots show where we have what I'm calling project centers, which is essentially where Jim has worked, or there were the Congregation of St. Joseph that worked in Gulu. So we have kind of, I mean, they're spread out around all that, but this is these, you can see it kind of overlaps to a degree in this northwest area of Uganda. So we're familiar with that area, etc. We being Jim. And we're offering a partnership campaign. Okay, so like you, we're presenting at Rotary clubs across the United States, and we're looking for funding for phase 1 pilot projects. And we're looking for $4,500. I'm going to add in here, if you could add, Debbie, I need to add in pilot projects per Ugandan club. Okay.
Which slide?
I don't know what slide that is. The partnership campaign slide. I don't have numbers yet. So we're inviting them to help fund these pilot projects with these Ugandans. And those clubs are going to meet on Zoom if they want. So we can facilitate that. We can let them actually see these Ugandan Rotarians. And they're going to get that GIS data and maps and photos. So they're going to get the proof. Now, if you really had, and this is why I'd start right back here, really. And again, they can, when they open it up, they can click here and watch a video. I'm going to let you guys do that later, okay? But when you click on this, it'll open up a video in YouTube. There I am. There's Chris.
My name is Chris Rosell. I am a Rotary expert in water and sanitation, a cadre member. I belong to several Rotary water and sanitation clubs.
Okay. So in summary, we're offering another way to wash. It's tailored to remote communities. It's a human solution. See, all these things we made it, in different form earlier on. You can just skip all those and come to this. Contact us to learn how. So let's see. I think, let me get out of this and I can count. So you could start at slide 31. And you've got 8 slides to the end. And they include this right here. And this is, let's see again, this is about 14 minutes. That's pretty long. You might feel, and I'm letting you guys feel this out. You might decide, I'm going to give them a little taste of it. So we're just going to watch a few seconds of it. And you're going to have access to this. So, and say to them, don't forget to click right here. It says click the link. Okay. And you can watch the rest of this video.
It's Steve here. Do we have any idea how long they would like us to present our program?
It really varies. When I've done Rotarian, I always ask, first of all, and we're going to talk a minute about setting it up as well. But usually they're looking for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So as you see here, what you have here is you have a kind of a package deal where you can say, you can start right here. And then you can say, there's a lot more in this slideshow that gives you more details at the beginning. You can get into that, and see the results and everything. And if you're really familiar with it and somebody says, how do you know it works? You say, oh, hold on a minute. Let me take you back here to this slide. But I'm going to drop in, let me see if I can format. This works a little, yeah, slide numbers.
Yep.
Okay, so now that one's marked 31. You see that right there at the bottom?
Sister Lorraine, the amount we're asking is 4,500, but you also said it could be joint. Is there a minimum per
Yes.
club?
No, I would say, especially as we get started, I think we're going to take anything.
Okay.
We don't want to put up any high barriers.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought about doing that for 7,500 because that's 100 water women. 60 is the lowest we can start with. So you can tell them that, the minimum is 60 per, I'm going to put Ugandan, here we go, club. Because we can't make that work financially. It's more break even, it's always break even anyway, but we can't make it work financially. Our costs get astronomical when we start shrinking numbers of water women. And this is just going to be expensive to do. We're going to have to do shipping, but it's part of a long, I believe in long games when it comes to development and partnerships and all that and strategy. I think we're never going to become accepted and tapped into from Rotary until we start this and we work small, we build reputation. So, I mean, I've put untold hours so far into working with these Ugandan clubs, meeting with them, getting their MOUs, you know, designing all this, talking about all this and everything. Like, that's what you do in this kind of situation. So again, you've got 38 slides. Nobody wants to sit through all 38 slides. Okay. When you say to people, you know, I've got this beautiful long, you know, all these slides, lots more information. We're going to start over here toward the end, just cut to the chase. You know, if we have more time, we can go back per your questions and hit up particular, you know, slides. You might even number for your, you know, have a notes for yourself, like number 19 is the spiritual slide, the religion question slide. You know, how it worked. You know, you can pick out just different slides that you think might be useful to you. I didn't want to just nail that down too much for you because I felt it's going to be, if somebody asks about Haiti, you can say, let me tell you what we're doing about Haiti. Go to slide 27. And go, you know, it's 27, 28, 29, 30. You know, that's our Haiti story right there. The Rotary in a nutshell. But you always say to them, you've got this card here. It's got this QR code. You can go back and look at and think about all this. Call Sister Lorraine or call me. Write your name and phone number on this card. Cross out my name. I don't care. Okay. You know, put your name and phone number out here. You know, or say, you know, we'll get on a Zoom. You know, we can talk together, because this isn't something where at the end we're not expecting them to vote on it. We're planting seeds. Then we're going to have to go back around and say, what do you think? Okay, so let's go back in time now to the moment of we're meeting with a Rotary Club. Okay. Actually, later today, I'm meeting with the president of my Rotary Club. So before I'm actually showing up in front of a Rotary Club with surprise, I need $4,500. You know, I'm going to go over some of this with the president and just say, this is what we're going for. Okay. And it's not a hard sell. We're just saying we're offering this, but, you know, and then he's either going to be, or she, most of them are he, honestly, is going to be, you know, like I've already sort of felt out my Rotary president and said, you know, can we do this? I want to talk with you about this. But he also very much appreciated me saying, you know, I've got an ask in this presentation. Of course, all presentations really have an ask, right? But I've got an ask in this presentation, and I want you to see it before I do it.
Are we going to take along our sample system?
Sure, absolutely. Yes,
okay.
Definitely. You want to take along your sample system. I highly recommend, I don't require it. I know it's a little scary for people, but mix up some muddy water, get some creek water. Just put this firmly in your mind. If you take the bucket into a business office or a conference center or what, church, and you don't have your water with you, and you decide you want to fill it up with water and add some mud, do not get mud from any landscaped place. Do not get mud from pots. dirt or whatever, you will get the taste of pesticide, guaranteed. Okay, so nothing that's ever been sprayed. Dennis in Honduras, he carries along, he has a little bundle, a little cloth bundle that he's got like a little herbal, pack in there of some mud. And then he's able to swish it through the water and you get nice muddy looking water. And then it comes up nice and clean. It's magic. So I highly recommend doing that. And at the end, then you can say, I'm going to, just show you what this, what it's capable of. There's sort of a point where you have to say, wow, enough slides. I sit here, I think, oh, I could add another slide that shows that, we could add a slide of video that shows the filter at work. But there's nothing more powerful than actually showing it to them and getting them to drink it. It makes it very memorable. Pat, you're muted.
What does he put in that packet again?
Just some dirt. He just
How
said,
does he know, like all the dirt around here is treated dirt?
well, he's in Honduras, and so all the dirt is not treated dirt. If you think you're surrounded by treated dirt, then you got to go, I don't know, find a riverbank or something.
Well, my particular yard, in the grass part, there's nothing. That would be okay, just dirt.
Yeah. I just dig down a little bit just in case.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, he just has like a little sachet made out of cloth. He just took a square cloth, put a couple of tablespoons of dirt in the middle, tied that up around it with a string or something.
So it doesn't need to be as bad as what it would look like from a river in Haiti.
No.
Okay,
People will be freaked out enough when it's just, discolored.
Okay.
And that all varies, anyway, so.
You could also collect rainwater. That way you're not having to worry about what's in the ground.
Well, but you still want it to be visibly
Dirty.
dirty, so you're still
Yeah.
adding something.
okay.
But I learned the hard way, and when I was in Orlando, and I think there's nothing in Orlando that's untreated, okay? It was impossible to find. I was gonna have to take an Uber and go find untreated dirt. I mean, which I didn't do. But there was nothing. So Orlando is all heavily sprayed and controlled. Every inch of it. So if you have suggestions for other slides, just remember we would kind of mess up everybody's slide order. So we'll have to kind of, keep an eye on that. But it's also, we add slides and we add time. You can come back to me and say, okay, I think we need to completely reconfigure this or whatever, or I want to take some of these slides and, you can always copy and make like a slideshow in different order if you want to. But this gives us a common message, and I think that's really important. In fact, I know it is. And as I keep going back to, then anybody who opens it up on the QR code, they're kind of led through the whole thing. They're getting more the long form narrative. They're starting back here at the beginning and learning all about it all. I wonder why that goes weirdly to that. I gotta check that. Okay. I think it's because that is. That's it. So, a lot of what I've tried to do with you today is just say, you know, kind of set you up for a lot of possibilities of where this could go when you're standing in front of people. Out of my own experience, somebody might ask you something that we haven't addressed at all. You know, because you never know, somebody comes up with something completely new. But in my experience, these are the main places that these questions can go. So to just recap, first off, I would talk with the local president, give him a few, see if he wants to look at it a little bit, and just say, so we're bringing a project proposal to you. We want to ask if you would consider doing an international project. Okay, and then when you get in front of people, I would start at slide 31. And say to people, we're going to skip to slide 31. There's a lot of information in here. If you're interested, you're going to want to look at it on your own. I'll go back to it, or I can come back, or you know, whatever. Okay, but we're just going to hit the heart of this right now, and people are going to appreciate that. We might want one slide about, I just realized we need just, you know, you might take the first, like slide 7 and slide 8. Just thinking this through out loud. I'm realizing what I could do, because this slideshow is already connected to this. Okay, but I could copy this slideshow and just give you just the like 10 slides out of it. The only thing is, if somebody asks you, what about religion? What about whatever? Then you don't have it right at hand. So maybe it's better to leave it as is. That makes sense? And I think, you know, just psychologically with the group, to say to them, we're skipping a bunch of this. You know, I'm aware of your time. Is different than saying, okay, there's a lot more slides, but we're going to stop. That has a completely different feel. You know, but to say up front, so we're going to just jump to the heart of this, and then let's see where our conversation takes us, and you'll be able to access everything. So the, you know, the main goal is we want to get them excited about doing an international project that's within their scope. A lot of clubs don't even dream about an international project. My club, for example, is a very small club. What happens when you meet early in the morning? You know, it's never done an international project. It's been asked by other clubs to contribute to their international projects, but it's never had its own international project. So just kind of that thing. Yeah, Pat?
Yes, my questions are kind of strategic, more about how to get into a club. Like, would I wait and talk to Rebecca about that? I have no, you know, I've been asking people, are you in Rotary? Do you know anybody in Rotary? Rather than making blind calls, but should I be asking her about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you could ask her, and you could also just look up Rotary in your area.
Oh, I did. There are 4.
Okay.
But one of them's already heavily involved in Haiti, including using Sawyer filters and a 2-bucket system. So I didn't think that would be smart, but I wanted to run that by somebody. But I would rather get introduced by somebody who's a member rather than just calling blindly.
Yeah.
But what kind of people are in Rotary? Are they like doctors, or I just don't know anything about it.
They tend to be entrepreneurs and business people and engineers and computer scientists, kind of in that area. They're not people, you know, doctors. I don't think I've ever, I'm sure there are, In fact, I do know there are doctors, you know, a few doctors. I was going to say I haven't met any, but you know, you have to have time, and people have less and less time. Rotary is always struggling for members.
Okay,
So
well, I'll just keep
nothing-
looking. I mean,
Yeah.
I've asked 5 people that I found at the farmer's market, but nobody knew anything about it. And the other question I have is, how do you show these slides? Do you have to ask them for some equipment?
Mhm. So hold on, let me just finish one more thought from your
Okay,
last,
sorry.
your last piece was, first of all, ideally, absolutely, you know, we want personal connection. But Rebecca has done some kind of cold calling, like Steve's going to, is it Steve, are you going to Covington, Steve? Are you the one? Yeah. So he's going actually about an hour, hour and a half away from here. That was just a cold call. And she, I believe, talked with their program manager.
And I am waiting to hear back from a couple of friends who know Rotary Club members. So I haven't gotten that information back yet, but when I do, based upon what you said, try to reach out to the president of the club and give a, you know,
Yeah.
introduction and see if we can get in to do a presentation. So
And
all my friends and been getting, do you know a Rotary Club member emails this morning?
that's very good. Well, and that reminds me of another thing that I'm really asking people to do is those e-newsletters, the Sunday newsletters, forward those to people. And if you go, I don't think it was last Sunday, well, we've had some specific to Rotary. You know, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? And we're going to have more with Rotary news in them. We're going to start strategically putting that in there too. So just any excuse we have to make eye contact about this mission is really what it comes down to. And the more personal networking it can be, the better. But if it comes down to it, you know, you can even ask Rebecca to make those calls for you. She's going to appreciate it if you feel okay to call yourself, but
I have no trouble calling. I would just rather take some time to find a local person first.
yes.
And so that's my next question is, what's the timeline? Like I was thinking groundwork in the summer, start talking in September, but Steve, are you talking soon?
That one in Florence is July 18.
Okay,
And then, of course, there's one tomorrow morning that Sister Lorraine's doing.
Mhm.
okay. So I'll call Rebecca and set up a time to talk to her about what's the best way to, because I've only got 4 that I think I can drive to.
And
But-
Steve, by the way, I don't know if we made this clear. I just realized that one tomorrow morning is here. My club is coming here.
Oh, okay. Can
Okay?
I come?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought we put out an invitation. I mean,
They're
maybe
coming to our
mistaken about that. Huh?
Come into our office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it tomorrow morning? Am I wrong about that?
Well, I thought it was a Tuesday. There's one coming to our office.
Oh, that's it. It's Tuesday.
The Sunrise Rotary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on.
Tomorrow, I'm sorry, I'm mixing them up.
It's like-
Tomorrow morning is a 7:30 a.m. for me at Goshen or someplace.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, we got people coming to the office tomorrow. Do we need to pick up something?
But we do next Tuesday. I promised them bagels again. And good coffee.
I'll have coffee ready.
All righty. So how, let's get back to Pat's question about how. And I'm glad you asked that because I gotta make sure I've got one of these. We can send you, you know, a thumb drive,
Mhm.
okay, with the slideshow on it. And you can say to them, that way you don't have to depend on internet to get connected, right? Okay. The only thing is we have to just be aware is that if for some reason we change something, then we have to get these back and, or have you copy, override it on your thumb drive.
And where do you put that?
Okay, so in a, typically, and I'm finding this is pretty standard. They're meeting where they have some kind of projection, able to get online, because they've been working with Zoom a lot. And they'll typically have either a desktop or a laptop set up and connected. And this will go into the USB port on the laptop or the PC.
Okay,
If you have a laptop, you want to check with them and find out, whether they do for presentations.
okay.
Typically somebody, they're always telling me, do you need us to bring a laptop? Does somebody want, whatever. So especially this works with a small group, maybe you're stuck with just showing it to them on a laptop and everybody's gathered around. Not ideal, but okay. So, I'm aware as we talk through all this that there are so many moving parts, right? So many moving parts, and I'm super grateful to you for being willing to get into this. You got special things you got to figure out for the club and that relationship and what they've got going, how they project presentations, all that. But people are pretty used to, if you say, I've got slides, can I show slides? They're going to tell you how they can show slides.
And will we get a link to the video?
The link to the video is in the slides.
Okay,
So the one thing, I'm glad you brought that up. If they're not connected to the internet, the link won't go live. I don't think I can get the video onto this.
can you send us the link so we can see it?
Well, for one thing, I'm just gonna go ahead and share this. I'm gonna share up at this level. So let's see, I've got Steve Jones. Are you still SMJ Max 33
Yep,
at yahoo.com?
right.
Okay. So I've just sent you the link. You'll get a link that says Lorraine Lauder has shared a slide presentation with you. And then why can I not pull up your email? How's your email address start, Pat?
PAD?
Oh yeah, there it is. Okay.
So we can look at that later.
Yeah, you can start getting into it right away.
Got it.
Mess it up or anything. I just set you up as viewers. So sorry, Steve, were you gonna say something?
I got it.
Okay, great.
Came on my email, so I'll look at it later.
Okay. So I
Very
think what I want you to do as a test for me is no, that won't work because you have a link right now. And that video is within that one slide. It's let's see. It's slide 34. I'm not absolutely certain that you can get to the link for the video from a thumb drive version.
Even if they have internet connection?
If they have internet, well, even with that. So we may need to say you need to get there log into your email and open that up.
I'm not following that part, Sister Lorraine.
Okay. I tell you what, I think, because we're just getting started here and everything, this will help us figure out things for the future as well.
Okay,
So once you make those connections, and because it might be a while, you know, you find out from them, you say to them, how can I show slides? Take notes and get back in touch.
okay.
Okay. And in the meantime, I'm going to test the thumb drive thing. I'm actually going to test it tomorrow. So we'll find out if it
Lorraine,
actually works. Yeah.
maybe too, if it's helpful, like if she's going to a group, she could put us in touch with their tech person and we can send them
Oh,
the
that's a
production
great idea.
and then they can have it up for her.
Yeah.
or
That'd
for-
be good. I mean, I haven't done any presentations at all, so I'm sort of going in the deep end.
You got
That's
it.
I was holding off because of the Charity Navigator thing, but now that that's cleared up, I'm ready to go. And I don't mind starting with, you know, I'm not worried about the presentation part. I'm more worried about the how do you get in there, and I don't
Yeah.
want them to turn me down because they never heard of me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. You're more worried about just making the connection.
Right.
Okay, so we'll make the connection first.
Yeah.
And explain what you want to do, you know, and again, I think people are even more receptive now to, you know, let's sit down over coffee. And I'll explain what I want to do.
And it may be something that we could share the presentation with the group before the meeting, and then that way they're kind of familiar, and then you can just kind of point the highlights to, then they can have time to think about questions too.
Yeah, they might want to do that. It's a good idea. So, you know, you could say to the president, or I think they call it a program manager. I should know this. Program officer, somebody's in charge of programs,
Mhm.
you know, and maybe the president says, I want you to meet with them, you know, which is fine, or you meet together or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could say, you know, what do you think is the best way to go about this? You want to get it out to everybody? We're going to have this presentation. I don't know. This is another, it's just occurring to me, this is another human solution. It starts with humans. It depends on humans. It won't be successful without humans. So thank you. Thank you again.
Exciting.
And you know, maybe these people, you know, you'll have your cards and maybe they're completely, no, they want nothing to do with an international project in Haiti, in Honduras, or I mean, sorry, Uganda. But they've got the basic connection information there. Okay. And somewhere out there, there's somebody who, you know, gets their heart moved.
Right.
And again, it's all a long game. I mean, I've literally had even, you know, I'm thinking of one example that involved a Rotary club, and like 3 years later, somebody called me. So you just got to plant the seeds, and you got to plant them without counting the cost. Costs a lot in time. And I see that. And really appreciate it.
Well, I will see you tomorrow morning.
I will see you tomorrow morning, Steve. Great.
And Steve, let me know how your talk goes in Covington, or put it on is there some way to have a Rotary email group so we can keep up with each other's, whatever you call it? I don't know if progress is the right word,
I sent-
efforts or something.
I did that group email, with just.
Oh, that's right. But
Yeah.
that's got all the advocates on it, right?
Well, the newsletter did, but the initial email was just like the four of us, I think, and Judy and Rebecca maybe and Lorraine. So
Okay. All right. I'm gonna email Rebecca and try
And
to
we
set
have
up.
Bob Jacobs, is he on it?
He got the advocate. I sent it to all advocates and volunteers through constant contact. He's on that.
Yeah, let's make sure he's on this one as well. This group. This little subgroup. All righty.
Thank you for your time.
All right, Steve. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Good night. Good
Thank
day.
you all. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Judy.